Welcome to We Connect's short-term rental property tour. I'm so excited about this one. It's a live deal, short-term rental deal from one of our investors from Savannah, Georgia. He lives in New York, sunny New York City today, by the way. Sunny New York City. Big J, how you feeling today, bro?
We good. Nothing crazy.
Be good. Nothing crazy.
Nothing
He
crazy.
said so many words. Thank you for that. My illustrious here. Anyway, I'm super excited to introduce this guy who was a guy that I had to chase down for about a year to find him, and he's here, and he just took off. He just took off. But he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a coachable guy. He's just an amazing guy. I go to him for advice, and he's helped a lot of our community members make passive income from where they are now. Welcoming my guy, Big. We call him the human sponge, Big Chinadu.
Nice. Happy Sunday, everybody. This is a great turnout. It's a really great turnout. Happy Sunday, everybody. I see we got people from different states, different cities. I like it. I like it.
Let's go. So, all right. So, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Chin, and how you got here.
Man, how did I get here? Man, I think I saw an ad that said learn real estate with a team, and I thought I was sold until it was, time to really get my feet wet, and then I kind of like backed out. But as I went to college, thought I was going to be a lawyer. I finished all 4 years, and my fourth year, I realized that that's really not for me. I wanted some freedom. I wanted to move around how I wanted to. I just wanted to live on my own terms. So after checking out this group and just seeing, more about real estate and about taxes and about just business ownership and mindset, I got in finally after being chased for a while. And yeah, I literally did everything I was told to do. Everything I saw, I did it. I questioned and I got right to it. So with the support of everybody and man, just the celebration all the time definitely helps keep the journey a bit more exciting. So yeah, I'm very happy to start doing short-term rentals and share my experience because I've tried a lot of different strategies, but I think this one is this is the one I feel real home at. So I'm gonna show you guys an example of a short-term rental management deal. And this is gonna be my favorite because I hear a lot of people come to me with questions and barriers about things that stops them from getting into this business. So I want to kill one of them today. I definitely want to kill one of them today. Nice. Screen's on me, right?
So
Okay.
anyway, this is a disclaimer before we get into the deal. This is an example of how real estate was achieved by applying real estate investing education and seeking guidance and support, but it's not a representation of typical outcomes. Individual results vary depending on a lot of different factors. Each real estate investment result is unique as the real estate itself. And with that being said, Big Chen, show us the property and tell us how you got this thing.
So this is a property in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is my main city. That's where I started my short-term rental journey over from scratch. I started this business. I had limited knowledge, didn't have that much support, but I jumped in. I jumped in and on my first two deals, I was losing money literally all year and it was so bad, but gratefully I was able to get more education, get some mentorship, get some more support, and now able to do the strategy for myself and others. So I'm in Savannah. This property is in Savannah right here. It's a 4 bed, 3 bath house, pretty stylish, nice open concept. It's really clean. The story on this and how I found it. Somebody in my network, they have a short-term rental. It's not doing that well. I guess they didn't run the numbers right. They had limited education. I'm not too sure, but they did not run the numbers well. And, they didn't really set up their team correctly. So he's a guy from out of state. He also lives in New York. This house is in Savannah. And he said he wants to sell his unit. He just started it in November 2025 and he figured out it's too much work. He doesn't want to manage it from New York. He doesn't know how people are doing it remotely. So he just wanted to get rid of it. So he wanted, I think, 18K for it. He just wanted to get the money he spent on his furniture, and that was it. So I was telling him like, hey, I'm not in love with your numbers. But if you want, I'd manage it for you, so at least you don't have to deal with the burden of, speaking to cleaners, speaking to handyman, speaking to guests, especially since he has a day job and he's also in school. So this is how I found that unit. It's really nice, really open concept, brand new furniture. It's barely, barely even touched. He's only been operating for 2 months.
Really nice, really nice. I like the way it's clean.
Mhm. So it was perfect because this person had did all the work. I didn't have to source any furniture. I didn't have to reach out to any landlords. I didn't have to do anything besides just have the knowledge and, the relationship with this person and be able to take on the opportunity. So yeah, no design for me, no ordering stuff, no delivering stuff, no money, like nothing, just plug and play. It was really, really, really perfect situation.
Really clean, really clean. I like it.
Yeah, really clean, really nice. It was pretty cool because some of the things that was making him not fall out of love with the business, other than it just being like too far, that he couldn't really manage it, the guest communication, he wasn't really he didn't want to check his phone. No one, a lot of people underestimate that this business is really hospitality. So that's the part he did not want to do, he just wanted to make some money. So, and then he also had challenges with cleaners, challenges finding handyman. And he just couldn't manage it. So it was perfect that I can, come if you can find a team, if you could input some systems, you could definitely manage properties for other people who's looking to get out.
So, all right, let's do the walkthrough. Let me get the video up here. Can you guys see my screen?
I see the plaid shirt.
No, you don't see the screen? No, listen.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, whoa. Can you guys see it? Everybody see it? Put it wide in the chat. You can see it. Make sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, this joint is really clean. Those nightstands look familiar. How much square foot is this? A big house. It's got a lot of room.
Yeah, this house is about 2,700 square foot. It was perfect.
Nice.
People like
Nice.
these are perfect because not only do they not want to do the day-to-day operations, they're limited on information. So this guy wasn't really maximizing, all the space in his property. He wasn't maximizing his listings or his pricing or things like that. So it was a real no-brainer to kind of, sell him on the stuff that we know how to do.
And I guess what made you decide to want to jump in on this opportunity? I guess from the conversation, like how did you know how to fit yourself into this? Because he said he's looking to sell it. So
Hmm.
what did that conversation look like?
Gotcha. So he was, he wanted to sell the unit. And after I was running the numbers and I got his expenses, I realized that, with my own team, if I could put my own team, I can drop a lot of his expenses. He was paying, I believe, 170 per clean. It's a pretty big house, but my cleaners are willing to do it for 130, with supplies. So we was able to cut some of his costs on cleaning, supplies, maintenance. And from there, I was able to like build in my profit, on top of knowing that, he's kind of like an amateur short-term rental operator. So I can come in there and, optimize the listing and do some upsells and, all the fancy stuff I talk about in the summit on how to increase revenue. So I saw opportunity. The house was good. He was in a good location. I was familiar with the area. I just knew that I can, make up for the parts that he was missing. Yeah, the first thing we did was get rid of his cleaning team. So this is my cleaning team taking, doing the video walkthrough right now.
Nice, nice. Okay. Listen, that thing is sharp. Sharp. I like it. All right, let's get to the let me go back to my slides here. That was the video walkthrough. So as he's giving you guys information, start thinking because we're gonna ask you guys some questions. So keep your mind, keep glued. You're not just going to be spectators, you're going to get involved. So let's talk about the knowledge. You were just born with this, right? Just osmosis, right?
Man, I wish, brother, I wish. I did 4 years of college for criminal justice and never saw a contract or anything, how to negotiate deals, how to find people, like none of that. So, man, it was a education investment trial and error, growth experience, looking to learn all this stuff and becoming better at it and just getting my reps in and be able to create opportunities for myself and others. So everything that I've accumulated in knowledge and experience and my experience and others is what I've built into this, 3 years of it and how I've been expanding my portfolio and doing deals with no money or how to find the money myself so I can do it. So this is the knowledge right here. It's everything from A to Z. This is a short-term rental revenue sub, and it definitely covers, a lot of the stuff that I'm speaking about here and that we're probably going to speak about later, like how to run the numbers and the good stuff, like what's the profit going to be. So yeah, this is where the education came from, so I can execute on this deal.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you got support from our community. So We Connect is another way that, Chin was able to leverage our support daily, weekly, coming to different trainings, being able to ask people who are really doing transactions. So if you want that kind of support, get with the person who invited you to find out how you can connect with We Connect. We do have another training tomorrow, a big, beautiful tax reform tomorrow. So you can really start leveraging your strategies, but also those tax benefits that are really great. That's tomorrow at 7. And let's get into this, right? You talked about it a little bit, but this is amazing. I've been on a couple of these, but tell them about this.
Yeah, weekly calls, everything short-term rental. If this is, your strategy, and you need help finding deals, negotiating deals, you have questions of things that's blocking you. You want to analyze some deals or learn from someone else's experience, or even team up on a deal. This is the
Ooh,
place
yeah.
to come. Literally, this is the place to come to learn how to do deals. No money, no risk, in your state, out of your state, and just get past your roadblocks. This is a perfect season to get into the game, to get some of that summer vacation money. So weekly calls every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Big drum roll, please, for the numbers.
Nice. So yeah, this is a short-term rental management strategy. So my startup cost was zero. I didn't have to spend any money on furniture, on anybody to build it, on the flight to go see the unit. I didn't have to spend money on anything. This is like the beauty of just knowing what to do and knowing who to do to it. Knowledge and relationship. But this guy, the operator, the investor, he had his first month's rent. He had his furniture and decor and also paying people to set it up and clean it, throw away all the boxes, make it look really pretty, photographer and everything. All in, this guy was at $24,000. So this is the beauty of knowing, just having this information, because you can figure out how to get the deal, how to run the numbers and get somebody else to put money up on it. You're no money into the deal, and now you just manage it. So look at his expenses. So this guy, his rent payment, $3,000 for a 4 bed, 3 bath. That's pretty good. His utilities and internet, he's looking around $500 a month for maintenance and operations, which is like cleaning and that software cost that Alvin mentioned earlier. He's paying for it, not myself. It's $1,200. My management fee is 10% of the gross revenue, and that's the money he brings in before any expenses get taken out. So his unit is estimated to make $6,100. I get 10% of that, which is $610 a month to me, just for doing work, handling the day-to-day operation, which is pretty cool. So his total expenses, even after paying me, is $5,310. And he still gets a cash flow about, just a little bit under $800 a month. So it's beautiful. This strategy is amazing because we both get to eat on this deal. I learned some stuff, I get to apply it, and this guy gets to, live his life and not have to lift a finger, but just collect the check every month.
Woo. I love it.
Nice, yeah.
I love the win-win. Like he's not doing anything now. This is amazing, amazing stuff. If you got questions, I'm sure you do have questions. Put them in the chat. We're gonna get to them in a second. I think Chin, thank you for bringing this, man. This has really got opened my eyes up because I definitely, with this information you're sharing, we could definitely help people out there and make money and then make people's lives easier. Because I hear that all the time. Oh my God, there's so much that goes into it. Oh my God, who wants to deal with all the questions and whatever? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. No problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
And this is
So,
why the weekly calls are amazing, because people come with opportunities sometimes and, they said they can't find the money or it's kind of scary, so you can
mm-hmm.
find a good deal, run the numbers and kind of switch over that quote unquote risk to someone else who's really looking to get in the game, have the money, but don't really know how to execute. That's where you come in. And we speak about that a lot on some of the weekly calls when we have leads.
Nice, nice. Who's got zero down? Who's got zero money to get some money? I love that. Anyway, you can follow Chin on relationship.rich. I mean, he does this every day. He's not somebody you can't reach. You can talk to him. You can see him actually on his weekly calls every week. I'm on there. You can find myself. You can find Bar Raiser J, Jason and Bar Raiser J. Our guy Jerry's probably busy right now. And myself, Ron Carpe Diem. And let's go to the questions.
So here's what I would love for you to do. Chinadu, please explain this strategy as far as not subject to rental arbitrage slash sublease with short-term rentals having management involved. If you could just kind of first explain the short-term rental and then explain, a little bit more about how you could position yourself to manage it for the operator slash investor.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So short-term rental, just in for lack of a better word, is kind of like Airbnb, just running an Airbnb business where but this is an arbitrage version. So the guy didn't have to buy the house. I rent a lot of houses. I don't have to put down a down payment or get my credit checked or, any of that paperwork stuff that the bank want. I'm just a renter. I'm renting it with the landlord permission. I can run this short-term rental, vacation rental, Airbnb business out of their location. So the cool part is, a lot of people hear the sexy part about, you can really make a lot of money on this strategy, and it can be passive, semi-passive, whatever you want it to be. But a lot of people don't want to put in that work. A lot of people don't want to find the deal, but they want a piece of the action. They have the money and don't know what to do with it. So that's where, a manager comes in with the knowledge, after learning it and even if you don't have experience, just having support can help you manage for somebody else. So it's his unit. He's on the lease. He furnished it. He put up the money. And I'm just managing the day-to-day operations so he doesn't have to worry about this unit, ever again if he doesn't want to.
Chinadu, as a manager in this situation, what is it that you're doing as a manager?
Nice. Yeah. So I'm doing guest communication. I'm talking to handyman. I'm talking to cleaners, as needed. It's not something to do every day, but I'm handling like all the day-to-day operations. So if there's a guest checking and they have a question, me and my team handle it. If cleaners have a questions, me and my team handle it. If something needs to be ordered, like it's the unit is out of tissue, I'm not bothering the owner like, hey, go order some tissue. They're paying me about $600 a month to make sure that they don't have to do anything, so I'm handling everything that comes up pretty much.
All right, so I'm gonna go through the questions. I'm gonna keep going through the questions. Yeah, we got plenty of time to answer everything. So Alvin wants to know how much money were you able to save the owner? Well, not the owner, the investor slash operator. The owner's making their money. The owner's getting, and that's what I'm saying. Just please, you got to be careful with your language, like the terminology in this scenario, right? Because the owner is the person who owns the property. So that person is making that $3,000 a month from the investor, who Chinadu is pretty much helping manage the unit. So the investor is the operator, not the owner in this scenario. So, go ahead. So how much you helping that investor save is what Alvin wants to know.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I pretty much drop his expenses down by about $490, just around like 500 bucks. So there was, he his margins are higher. There was room to pay me, and there's room for for him to make a little bit more money as well. Especially the peace of mind. He doesn't have to do anything.
Cool. And then Alvin also wants to know, let's say it was you doing this unit, how much would you have spent on the furnishing of this property?
Uh, it could have came around the same price, give or take a few $1,000, maybe $1,000 more, $1,000 less. There was excuse me, some empty spaces that I definitely would have filled, especially how big this house is, 4 bed, 3 baths. You're attracting large groups, so just something, some kind of entertainment. I definitely would have filled it in. So I would say around the same price. I would have pushed to pay a little bit less in rent, but setup, I would have paid around the same price.
Okay. Okay, so I think Carrie wants to know the manager makes 20% of the income that the investor makes paying a management company. For example, paying a management company. So I guess she wants to know do you typically make, does the management, is it typically 20%? And I think you said 10%, but I guess what is it typically though for a
Yeah, it
manager?
ranges. I've heard it go from around 10% to 30%. Just depends on the numbers, of course. Some of those luxury units you could definitely get upwards of 30%, but this is arbitrage, so the operator's rent is way more than the owner's mortgage, so there's some profit there they can't tap into. So I only did 10% on this one, so I can make some good amount of money, and the operator can still make money because they're taking on risk. I know he wants to recoup his money, so I thought 10% was appropriate for this deal.
Taj actually asked a good question. And, getting into these short term rentals, I know when he got into short term rentals, he hated talking to all of these people hitting you at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I know that's probably, a big thing on other people's mind. Okay, well, you're managing it, but, who the heck wants to be talking to all of these people coming into the property? So his question is, are you doing the managing, talking directly to the guests, or is it an infamous virtual assistant?
Yeah, so nah, it's definitely not me. I definitely did not get into this business to, do customer service. Like not at all. I don't want to be calling cleaners. I don't want to be bothered. Like I don't want to do any of those things. So in my $610, $100 of that goes to, like softwares and automation, and also my virtual assistants overseas who do all that admin work. So, after like the owner's paying me for peace of mind, and now I'm deploying some of that money to get some peace of mind as well. So virtual assistants, AI, some software that handles like pricing and communication, all the little stuff that really moves the needles and some.
I love it. So this now helps me piggyback off that. So it sounds like if you, kind of knowledge up and have the right pieces in place, right? Instead of now hiring a manager, you could incorporate that stuff into your own business, the virtual assistants, because you're basically making additional money, right, from a management. But if you were operating this yourself, right, you could cut that fee out, and now he wouldn't have to pay you the 610. He could maybe pay the virtual assistant maybe like $100, say even 200, and now he'd have an additional $410 on top of the 800, about 800 that he's already getting.
Yo, having the knowledge and being around people who are actively taking action on this strategy is priceless, bro, because you can create money for yourself and for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You are the deal maker. You're creating these opportunities, and you may have to do light work. This is just one unit. Once when it's booked, there's literally nothing for me to do, nothing for the team to do. So yeah, it comes with its challenges, like everything. Yeah, it gets busy sometimes, but all of it can get handled if you know what to do
Right.
and who to do it with. That's the best part about having the knowledge and people actively doing it around you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Cool.
I love it.
Wanda would like to know, so is this a partnership or is management just getting paid for their service?
Yeah, this is straight business. No friends on this one. So no partnership. I'm just, I'm here to fulfill a service for the fee that I'm requesting. So yeah, no partnership. I have no equity into it. I have no money into it. I have no risk into it. Most importantly. So yeah, just manage it, fulfilling a service.
Awesome. So basically you're now finding other streams of income within the strategy of short-term rentals. You're
Correct.
maximizing. Oh my God, this is crazy. Are
Correct.
y'all getting this? Like, you're literally making money kind of just appear. So let's be honest. Like, some people are doing regular long-term rentals, might not even be making $500. And you got the overhead, you got the property. Now, yes, you may not be receiving the equity that the property is creating, but if you're just looking for passive income with no overhead, an additional stream of income, this is how, people talk about multiple streams of income, but this is one great way to create multiple streams of income within a strategy that you're already doing. Like, you're already doing short-term rentals. Well, why not maximize different revenue streams within this one industry? I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, money. This is a definition of because you hear a lot, you need money to make money. Like you don't need money to make money all the time, Just so this is definitely the definition of that.
Oh, I hope y'all picking up what we putting down right now. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're literally making money appear out of thin air. It's crazy. Since your takeover, is the investor now seeing a profit? Is the question from Jackie.
Gotcha. So, we're this was the end of slow season. I just took over. January was it even a full? No. So February 1st is when the management deal started. So it's too early to tell, but I know I can definitely boost his income and streamline his operations for sure. Literally everything I talk about in the summit is what I'm going to be doing to his listing to make it produce more income in the high season as it comes up.
My man Terrell wants to know, so do you collect the rent as well? I love this question.
Okay, so I don't collect the rent, but I do collect the revenue. I collect the revenue. I see the money first. So this way I don't have to at the end of the month bill somebody for my services. I get the money, I take out the expenses, I take out my fee, then I give the owner, the investor, their portion, what's left after all expenses.
And now, real quick, can you quickly like, are you literally receiving cash? Like, are people like giving you money as far as rents? Like, can you quickly explain to people how that process kind of works, like in a high level?
Yeah, so it literally goes straight to my bank account, right? So whatever account
Perfect.
I have on file, the money goes straight to my bank account. Very seamless. I don't have to meet anybody.
Right.
This is in a different state. I'm in New York. This is in Georgia. I don't have to take a flight to put out a fire. I don't have to, like, I've never seen this house in person, and I probably will never in my life.
Love
He's
it.
got his little son is there. I'm sure.
All right. So Jackie says you're basically making 500, just kind of sit there. Yes. All right. So LaShawn says, if all I want to do was find a property owner, I could hire Chin to run the STR and I could get paid. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean that's one way to do it. I would definitely encourage you come to the weekly calls every Thursday. If he was willing to pay for my time, you might as well get the whole experience, get my knowledge and see other people that's on this line just like you starting off at different levels and see them run numbers and learn from them experiences and kind of speed up that process, really get the community portion out of it. So yeah, we can definitely help you we can help you find deals. We can help you find opportunities. We can help you run the numbers and also give you some encouragement.
How do you find the investors to make these deals with, especially if you don't live in the same state? Like, where are you looking at?
Gotcha. John, when I first joined this community, when I teamed up with these people, I was just a 24-year-old in New York with no network, bro. Like I knew nothing about real estate, and I joined this group, and all of a sudden I have real estate family in Philly and Delaware and
Mm,
Texas and Florida, so get connected with a group of investors. This is one of many examples, us. And you have a network anywhere full of investors and people um, who have money and looking for the next opportunity. So, John, if you can learn how to get opportunities, then the money is going to be the easiest part, my brother.
I gotcha. Okay, I get it. Cool.
Ooh. There it is, John. There it is. All right. Let's bring out Mr. Alvin. Alvin, come on from mute. He's not there.
Hey,
So,
Jason, I'm here.
okay.
I'm here. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Jay?
Thought you was by the river.
Yeah, I'm down by the river, man. The river is the place to be. But
Yeah, well, what was your question, Alvin?
you
He
know what?
must have forgot.
Yeah, I did. I might have to look back. What is it, Jason?
Why you ask Alvin? You know Alvin anything. Alvin moved on.
He moved on, right? He's already over it. So he said, if you don't need money to make money, right? It sounds like you just need knowledge and relationships. Like, what's your thought process on that?
Yeah, 100%. I really stand behind knowing what to do and knowing who to do it with. So definitely get the knowledge. That's going to be your foundation. And that's where you're going to get your confidence from and your next steps. And then, if you don't have the resources, someone else does. We live in a world of abundance. So you get the knowledge and find some people to apply it with, and boom, you will start doing deals like this or even your own and some.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wanda, come on out.
that sounds like what you were saying to John before, about being a part of communities, and then that way you don't have to be there. You have boots on the ground. You have people that you can connect with to help find properties and help you analyze it. So thanks a lot, Chen. I appreciate you, man.
100%.
Yeah. Wanda, come on out.
So Chinadu, hey bro, listen, I had a question. Because it seems like when we're talking management and management fee, like we're not talking old school management, like any old little management company that's just putting people in to rent a place and they don't do much else but collect the rent, right? I'm assuming you're implementing all of your strategies that you know to do, and how to increase revenue and all the things. So it's still work. It's still the same amount of work, I guess, you would be putting into your own properties when you manage them the same way. So I'm wondering, since the work is the same, yes, you didn't have that initial financial investment, right? Because the dude already had it all set up. So is your fee equivalent to what an average cash flow would be for you for some of your other properties? You just didn't have the financial investment. Just wondering if this is a smart business decision because it's similar. Just about the
Yes.
risk.
Great question. So yeah, literally everything. Like I want to see this guy win, man. I want to. The more money this unit makes, the more I make. The more he'll continue to want to do business with me. So the everything that we would do for our units is what I'm doing on this unit right here. And as you start growing and like even in the beginning, you can get cheap labor. So it'll cost me no money to start the unit, but it'll cost me about $100 to run it. And he's paying for everything. So it's, like the software cost is coming out of his revenue. So the only cost I have out of my pocket is, the $100 I give to my virtual assistant, to run the show, to make sure I'm not doing anything. I'm doing the bare minimum, maybe about 2 hours a week with my input on it, as things start rolling. So it's infinite return, and that's why it's a great business model, and to also diversify myself within my strategy, right? So I just have access to more cash flow every single month. I can get my labor cheaper because it's in the same city. What else? Just, if I'm having a slow month for my units, at least I know with his units, as long as he makes $1, I'm always going to be making money for the next 24 months, which is what our management contract is for. So it's just a good thing to add to my own portfolio to keep me diversified.
I thought about my question, but I'm still gonna ask it anyway.
Okay,
In a
please.
in a management case like this, you have to have a complete team already in order to do this kind of management work.
I wouldn't say you have to have it, but before you guys get operational, you need to have it. So you can go in a city right now, have no contacts, no team, and build it, while looking for clients at the same time. So as long as you can build a team, that's good, but you don't need one existing before you start doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I know building a team can be rough, especially in a different state. Like in the summit, I definitely speak about like how the best ways to find your cleaners and your handyman and your photographers and make sure that they're like, the best that you can find in the market for some competitive prices.
Okay, so my question is, can this strategy work in an apartment complex if you were to, rent one unit?
Yeah, definitely. Like I have buddies who do management deals on apartment complexes and so you could do it on any unit. It's just gonna come down to the numbers. Once you look at the margins, then you have to set your management fee scale accordingly. Like I know one of his units, he manages an apartment for 7%, because of just the margin. So as long as you do the numbers, it can be done on any unit.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because you could definitely you can get in a situation where if you're the operator slash investor, you literally can negotiate with the owner to get them to actually furnish the property for you.
That's where I'm going with this. That's why I
Okay.
asked what I asked. Yeah,
Yeah. So you totally can, everything negotiable, right? So,
right.
yeah, cool. So she said, can you say how long is that did the investor, the operator, their lease? Like how long is the lease, and did they get any concessions, or do you know if you're aware?
Yeah, the operator got 1 month free and their lease is for 24 months.
So he was originally the investor was originally wanting to sell it.
Yeah, he wanted
And
someone to
you,
take
Jake,
over his lease.
I didn't hear you.
I said, yeah, he wanted somebody else to take over his lease and run the business.
And he was willing to do that for how much did you say to do?
18,000.
Right, because that's what he had in it and setting up and all that, right? Cost basically.
For furniture, yeah, only furniture.
Okay, so he was going to lose a little money to sell it, I guess. But
Hmm.
so, and then your business relationship with him, your agreement is for 24 months. So with him making the cash flow that he's making, his portion of the cash flow for those 24 months. Basically, he's just going to get his money back in the end unless he continues, extends his term, his lease, and either keeps you on or figures out how to do it on his own, right? So
Hmm.
how were you able to kind of convince him to keep going? You know what I'm saying? Was it difficult for him to try and sell this unit or something? And this was the alternative, or because he's not really going to make any money in those 24 months.
So the question was, how did I get him to keep it rather than selling it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, honestly, it wasn't too much, it was pretty simple. It was just a conversation. I kind of just ensured him, what I can offer. I already know the area. I have a team in place and I'll handle everything. His complaint was, I can't manage it remotely, so I kind of played on the reason he wanted to get rid of it and his paid point, so I just like, hey, like we'll take care of it, we'll handle everything, we'll do it like a professional. I'm familiar with the area, I have a team, and you won't have to worry about anything. Like I'll do literally all of the dirty work, my team and I, and that I guess that was of value to him.
Mm-hmm. So he would have to, I'm just kind of thinking he would have to hold on to it longer than those 2 years to sort of see any real profit.
Yeah, why not? I mean, this is just not here today, gone tomorrow. Like if a location makes money, we want to stay there as long as possible. So if he can keep racking in $780 for, until the wheels fall off, I think that's great. Eventually he'll get his money back. He doesn't have to do any work and he still has, a cash flowing asset he set up 2 years ago.
And did he realize at some point, well, I'm sure he did when he wanted to sell it, that STR just wasn't his thing. It wasn't his investor ID. So would he be willing to hang on to the thing after he gets his money back? Because, like you said, he didn't want to pick up the phone. See, and I feel that because that's why I wouldn't get into a short-term rental because I don't think I want to be picking up the phone every 5 seconds when people need stuff and they need it.
Mhm. So funny enough, he lives in Brooklyn, right? So he was running short-term rentals in Brooklyn. He had 5 units before,
Oh,
New York City did their whole
right.
doomsday, right? Their whole doomsday campaign. So, he likes the business, but he would just
Oh,
prefer for it to be closer to him
local. Gotcha.
rather than, in a different state and him managing it remotely.
Okay. Okay.
So here's my question: how much was he expecting to cash flow when he originally ran the numbers and went ahead with this unit? Do you know what that was?
So I didn't ask him that. Like I didn't ask him that. Yeah.
All right. I was just curious what made him move forward in the first place. I guess you know what I mean. Okay.
What is the doomsday campaign, Chen?
That's when they made it very, very hard to run a short-term rental business, Airbnb business in New York. They put all these restrictive regulations to, just to stop it.
So Cherie says, excellent strategy. I have to become accustomed to the verbiage. Yes, that's important. So if the investor ends the relationship with the owner, do you have access to the owner to move forward?
I'm sure that's something that could be talked about. Like all the owners who let us do this strategy, they know the benefits. So the owner knows that when this guy is done, the house is still going to be in great shape. He's going to get his rent on time, and like we're barely going to bother him. So I'm sure if I say, "Hey, can I take over his lease?" that he wouldn't have a problem.
But would you though at that $3,000?
No, I definitely wouldn't. Well, we'll see. This first 2 years, and the cool thing about doing management is kind of like a trial run. You do the numbers, and real life may have, something else in store. So you can find a deal,
Hmm.
insert somebody else manager for them, and just see how the deal goes. Experience their deal with no risk, and then you can determine, okay, cool. Like I can really expand in this market because I see how this one turned out. So, over the 2 years, if it ends up being more profitable than I think, yeah, I'd sign the lease.
Okay. And I mean, I guess that is another awesome thing about doing this as opposed to actually buying the property yourself because now you do have that flexibility, so to speak, right? You could get your lease for 24 months and, like you said, monitor it. How does it go? Like, because if you bought the house, like we just talked about the girl in the Poconos the other day, right? She bought the house, now she's locked in for 30 years. So would you like to be locked in for 2 years? Unsure or losing money, or you get in for only 2 years, figure it out, and then kind of figure out is this a market that's profitable and that you can make things happen. So I think it's great as a trial run type of strategy as well. I think that's one very good upside to the strategy.
I love the no risk aspect. I don't know about anybody else. I love the no risk part. No, they change ordinances. Okay, pack up. You got to pack up. I'm out. So again, she is cash flow 610 out of thin air. You gotta love that. Gotta love that. Again, follow his journeys, Chinadu and Basibi. My guy, my mentor now, relationship dot rich. We connect panelists, of course, my guy Jay, bartender Jay Ruff, and myself, Carpe Diem. Again, got a lot of stuff going on for you guys.